Hello and welcome to our update for August 17, 2025 for our Building a House in Palawan. Annie and I just wanted to give you another quick update here mid-August. First of all, I should say that the house is looking remarkably close to being finished. The tiles that we had purchased before are being installed. So the more those go in and it stops looking like kind of an unfinished basement floor on all the floors to tiled floors, it's just fantastic to see. I wanted to give you an update on some items, for example, the redesigns. So remember, if you've been watching from our design phase, that we wanted to make sure that everything was checked, double checked, triple checked, so that we wouldn't get to the point where we're looking at something being built and saying, oh, it's too small, we didn't know it was too small, we didn't realize how big it was, and we really checked everything. But we did have one item that for reasons outside of our control, we had to do a redesign, and that was the pool shower. So we have like a shower just outside on the pool lanai area, just for folks to shower before or after they get into the pool or the jacuzzi. And it turned out that we wanted to have almost like a sunken area for the shower. We couldn't dig down into the soil because the jacuzzi plumbing and the pool plumbing were underneath the area that we were going to install the sunken pool shower. So we did do a really fast redesign of how that shower would look on the fly. But I thought that it was really good evidence that we did a great design job before, and we really stuck to how many times we checked and rechecked our designs. The evidence that we did that is now that we only had one significant redesign, and that was really only deciding how are we going to reposition the pool shower, where's the drainage going to go, and so forth. So that went pretty fast, but as we always say, way better to measure twice and cut once, so to speak, way back in your design phase. Now we're focusing a lot on the finish items. So we're shopping, doing a lot of shopping. Now we're focusing on local to Palawan, and as I've said in previous videos, Palawan is more difficult to come by items that you may be used to if you're not from the Philippines, the US, Canada, or from Europe. You're going to find a much more limited supply there in Palawan than other areas of the Philippines. We have considered going to Shopee and Lazada and those items, but we're trying to hold off for now as much as we can on doing those, just because we're a little bit concerned that if we ordered something that didn't fit, the returns from Palawan back to those places, Shopee or Lazada, are going to be more complex than just going back down to the Wilcon Depot or whatever local hardware store. So there are certain items that we've ordered, but very carefully considered those items to do that. Now remember, if you are a little bit frustrated by the choices that you're going to get in your area of the Philippines in terms of appliances, especially things that involve electricity, remember that the Philippines voltage is going to be different than the US or probably where you're from. So make sure you double check that, because if you say, I'm just going to bring this particular piece that I can't find in the Philippines with me next time I go, just make sure that it will fit the electrical requirements there in the Philippines. Now we're finding that, again, Palawan, in our area, it doesn't have as many choices. So we're seeing that what would normally have exactly the right size or exactly the right or preferred appliance brand that we would want, there it's really just impossible to get those sizes or those brands. So for a kitchen sink example, we have a 30-inch sink here in the US across. And there, it was much less usual to find the 30-inch sink. And so we have the choice to, again, order that. But before we do that, we're going back to the architect and saying, look, we're going to get this sink that's going to be online, and it's this big and this wide and this deep, to make sure everything's going to fit together at the end. But if you're in an area that has a lot of options, that's great in the Philippines, but there might be some situations where you're going to find limited brands and sizes. Another example is the size of the cooking range. So here in the US, I think the typical size is about 30 inches across, and it's just a standard size, no problem. But there, we found that all the brands, or the majority of the brands, are European brands, so German brands. And I think there are some that are actually from China as well. But what they are, there's a completely different size. So if you're going to cut your kitchen cabinets or design your kitchen cabinets according to some kind of a US standard that you have in mind, that you might not even think that you would need to worry about the typical size. But there you will actually be seeing what we found was very, very small kitchen ranges. Now what we decided to do was just to split up by getting a cooktop and getting a built-in oven, and that way we don't have to decide on a preset area in our kitchen cabinets that would fit the standard US size or to fit a standard perhaps European size. We're just going to put a cooktop, and then we're going to do a built-in for the oven part there. That's one of the things we decided to do. So the brands that we're finding, at least in Palawan anyway, are German brands, Bosch and Franke. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Franke, and then some Italian brands. I think Germania was one of them as well. So you're just going to have to be careful when you get to that stage. And we had hoped to complete our finish list. I think I even said this a few videos ago, that you should be completing your finish list way ahead of time, so it's not delaying anything. And we're really not delaying anything now. It's just that when we got to it, we thought we would walk in and order everything from GE like we normally do here in the US. And then we find these looks like miniature ranges to cook on, and all these unusual brands that we can't find information on. Another thing is the reviews. So here we're very used to going to reviews online or double checking against reviews that we might find at the large hardware stores here in the US or on Amazon. We use a lot of customer feedback, and there we're just not seeing a lot of reviews of the brands and units that are in the kind of Asian market. So that it seems to be shared with Vietnam or Philippines and all these countries. They seem to release brands for some reason that just for that market, and we just can't find those reviews. Now, normally in the US, we would be very careful to get only the highest rated items, because we just don't want to be replacing things 8 months in because something short-circuited or something. But our preference is really just to keep pushing for the end date of the project. So in spite of us not wanting to buy something without reviews on it, we're just saying, okay, let's just do the best we can do. Maybe the brand itself, if it's reliable or not, is enough for us to push forward and to purchase that brand and that model in spite of the lack of reviews. So for our house, we're going to have a whole house water filter, and this is the you could think of it as the first stage of water filtering. So from the city water, so we're using Puerto Princesa city water for the house. And so the first stage will be a whole house water filter that we have that takes out the most egregious, I guess, contaminants in the local city water. So that's the important first step for us, and that's for showering and to protect your appliances. So things like the washing machine and so forth, and the dishwasher and whatever else you're going to run water through, those contaminants can really wreak havoc with that. So that's the first stage. It's very important for your equipment as well as your health. And the next thing is then the drinking water stage. Now, what we're finding is that the drinking water seems to be most commonly in residential installations, like underneath a sink or somewhere in the kitchen that has a little faucet by itself just for the drinking water to come out. And so that's your reverse osmosis stage. So we're just in the beginning of researching that. There's in Palawan, due to the limited opportunities to shop around, there is one major installer that does all the hotels and all the resorts. So we're going to use that installer for the whole house one, and then we're kind of doing further research on what they have for the under sink one. So speaking of research, I've been using AI, and I call it the AI consensus. So in 2025, as you know, the rise of AI, you can use it to save yourself time or to have it digest a lot of information that you would normally have to do hours of reading on. So I'm using Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, and then Gemini from Google. And I call it the AI consensus because the state of AI in 2025, although it's quite useful, you may know that it kind of just can make up things out of thin air. So what I like to do is I like to put the same question. So for example, speaking about the water filters, I'd say, what are the most reliable and popular brands of water filter in the Philippines, for example? I'll give that same prompt in each of those tools and just see what it says. And I call it a consensus because you may get one outlier that just says something that's unexpected. It's totally different from the other ones. And again, our push towards finishing the project, we're just going to keep pushing so hard to continue moving forward that I'm not letting. I'm going to take the majority vote, I guess. If I get something similar from two of those, I'm going to go with that rather than the one outlier. So that can be very useful, again, for reviews, how brands are, if brands are respected or if they have complaints about them, for example, or even things that have to do with the overall build, like drainage, for example, French drains versus other kind of drainage on your property, for example. You could use it for those items. So the solar install, very closely related to the electrical install, as I said, all those conduit or pipes that you put the wires through, those have all been installed, and the wires for the electrical have been run, and all the outlets and so forth have been wired. And the same thing with the solar. Now we are holding off with the solar panels themselves, like the finishing items, because I don't know how delicate they are, but what we've seen is workers being pretty casual about dropping some piece of concrete or something. We found this out by looking at our roof, which is the second floor roof. It had a lot of things dropped on it and actually had some damage to it. So we're actually going to redo the panels on there, the roofing panels. And we thought if we just finished our solar install now, the same thing would be happening to our solar panels. So we're holding off on that just because of any accidental damage in the remainder of the project. Now remember, if you're going to do what we're doing, which is solar primary and then the local utility as secondary, what we've had to do is avoid the huge draw of current that you would normally be able to do in your home country or in the Philippines. You can just hit up your local utility for any kind of a draw, a heavy draw on the current. So we were going to do a whole house water heater. So rather than what we've seen in a lot of places in the Philippines, which is they have the under sink one or the in shower one, water heater, electrical installed in the shower. We decided to do a central one. So our original plan was to have a huge on-demand water heater next to our water utility room. But those kind of immediate and large draws of current is not great for your solar. So I don't think it does any damage. It just means that all of the solar that you're producing during the time period that thing is running is going directly into that thing and not anything else. So rather than kind of try to push that side of things, we've decided to kind of bend and flex to the goal of wanting to be solar primary. So the water heater, I think I mentioned that in a previous video. The water heater is that tank style. So in the U.S., it's been traditional to have a large, I think it's like 80-gallon or 50-gallon tank just sitting there full of water. And then the beauty of that is it's constantly and slowly heated. And it's not like an immediate draw, but it's a very almost like a constantly like simmering, I guess you could call it, at all times. Now I was thinking that was old technology and we would do everything would be immediate or on-demand water, but in this case I'm flexing to the goal of getting to being solar primary and not hitting up that local and very expensive utility electricity. So the same is true for our jacuzzi water heater. So we're going to have a lovely jacuzzi there to soak in, and then there is a traditional type of jacuzzi heater, which is more similar to that on-demand water heater, which takes a ton of electricity all at once and for however long it needs to run. So what we've done is we got quotes for a heat pump and we got quotes for a traditional on-demand water heater. And the heat pump is actually, it's quite efficient just in general. It's a better piece of technology, but of course it is more expensive. And so we weren't going to, we just had to basically get that heat pump to use to heat the jacuzzi. And then again, it's just a sacrifice you have to do if you want to be solar, and that's one of the sacrifices that we've been happy to make instead of getting those like $300 or $400 or $500 electricity payments to the local utility. We are using the Starlink, which is the satellite internet, which again is just us trying to be a little bit more independent from the local utilities to get various very important items for ourselves when we're there. Now, if you're familiar with Starlink, you know you can just order that stuff right off of the website, chuck it up on the roof, and then let it go. But in our case, because our roof, we have like the rooftop deck on the top of the second floor, and then we have utility buildings up there, for example, for the solar and the water storage. There's a lot of conduit that's run between the floors. And one of the things we've experienced with internet in the Philippines is that you'll have real strong internet in one area, and then if you go another place in the house, you don't have really great internet or no internet. So we knew that we were going to run that signal via a cable down to the first floor, and that's going to be through the conduit. And then we're going to broadcast wirelessly to the other floors or run additional conduit. So this Starlink install that we have, it's a little more complex. So we decided just for me staying off of the third floor utility building roof next to all of the precious solar panels to get people to come and do that install and run those cables and all those things just for us. It's more expensive, but it just saves me getting a ladder out or trying to find out where the conduit is. Now we are going to have the Starlink contractor come out when the final solar panels are being installed, because those are in the same area, and our solar person his goal is to maximize our solar power, so he doesn't want to see any shadows from a Starlink satellite dish falling on the solar panels. So remember that the Starlink satellite dish is only the size of maybe 2 laptops next to each other, something like that. So it's not very big. But again, if your solar contractor is as good as I think ours is, he's not going to see any shade whatsoever on his solar panels at any time of the day, because he wants you to get that maximum return on investment from the solar panels. So the Starlink person is going to come out when we're doing the final solar install, and we're going to find a good spot up on that third floor roof to grab that internet from the stars. And one more thing, the car charger. So for us in the U.S., we have an electric car, but in the Philippines, the technology and the infrastructure is not there yet. So we went with a straight up gasoline car. There are hybrids there now. I imagine there's probably some plug-in hybrids as well. And then full electric, it has such a big growth in other countries like in China and around the world, that we think that wave is probably going to end up in Palawan at some point. So rather than do a full install for a car that we don't have yet, what we did was we had our electrician run kind of a stub, meaning that it's prepared to have an electrical charger installed in the car parking area, but we just didn't want to go through that investment now. And plus, you wouldn't want to even buy a car charger now and have it just sitting there not being unused for several years, waiting for the electric car wave to come. But just something that you might want to keep in mind, that either a plug-in hybrid or a full electric car, it's really going to have, I think, the same kind of return on investment that your solar is going to have, because of the high cost of gasoline in the Philippines. It'd probably be a pretty good investment to go that partial or full electrical route, and why not be prepared ahead of time? So we just thought we would get that kind of infrastructure ready to go for the future. And I think that's all we have for today. I just wanted to give you that quick update again, that it's looking like a real house now, and that just seeing the tiles going into the house is a big step, in it looking like a real house. And a lot of shopping going on, a lot of finished shopping. So we're pushing forward to get this project finished soon. So thank you for all of your support. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next update.
Here, did you see that? It's very small, and then this is what I'm talking about. Me and the architect, and then we were talking. He said if he wants me to put middle here and then going down over there, so it doesn't like kind of like moving like this. To me, I was like, wow, this is not sturdy because it shouldn't be like that. Like, look, you can even like hold it, ganunin mo, Bert, hawakan mo. See? Oh, look. You can even push it. So it's like you can bend it. So I was telling him, I don't know. And then he's like, oh, if you want, mom, you can get the thicker one. But then now we have to change it and we have another expenses. Or he said, just put thing in the middle, like line in the middle like that. But then it doesn't look like modern. It won't be like that. It's just as the line on a thing. So my thing is, I was, wondering if the kids will like some gas and then they put here, even they put here their thing. It's just like moving. It's like it's not sturdy. See? It's like a loose metal. So here's what looks like now. They have a bigger 1 inch 1 by 1, and then compared to the smaller one, that's what it looks like right now. So this is what looks like the swimming pool now. And it's nice because there's a tiles. And this is the steps going down there. So here is Kuya putting the tiles for the swimming pool. There's the view. It's the swimming pool down there. Here it is. We are making a good design for the wood look. Beautiful. It's like a customized thing. So here they are putting a coating. They're coating the perimeter wall, and they all putting it all the way down there. In here too, outside. So there is the swimming pool storage. And that's the pool deck. So this is the steps going to the main entrance, and that's the pool, the side of the pool, and that's the parking canopy. So this is the swimming pool. It's a little bit loud, but you can see the whole entire swimming pool now. It's almost finished with the tiles. And this is the jacuzzi. It's covered, so you can't really see the whole entire jacuzzi. And that's our entrance. Kitchen area. And you see that window there, that's the kitchen area. So here they are tiling it. Wow, can't wait. So this is what our house looks like now. They are finishing the painting on the roof. In here, almost done. I think this is just a coat, what is that called? I forgot. So anyway, this is what the front look like. Morning. And this is what the swimming pool pump room. These are our steps to the pool and between the parking lot. And that's they're actually done with the parking canopy. And this is the swimming pool. Good morning. Almost done with the tiles. This is what the room looks like now. This is the bedroom one. This is the master bedroom tiles. It's almost done. Maybe at the end of the day, it'll be done.
Ay, nakakuha pa si ma'am.
Iwan sa kanya lang para makita
Nakakabit pa lang si ma'am.
Nakadimo!
Diyan sa mga... Kaya ma'am magkama. Magkama sa mo.
Oh, okay.
Yung dulo niya dyan, yung kanto niya dyan. Oh,
Di mama lagi ka. Stop. Tapos ma'am.
okay.
Ito ma'am. Okay.
Paano to? Kuya?
Kasi medyo. Ayun. Dito ko naman ang pagpalabang. Habang maabot ng pagpalabang.
Dito dyan sa magapantay.
Battery ko dyan.
Ito, magano'n.
Lambre, bada, baka lambre.
Ganon.
Battery ko dyan. Lambre. Lagyan ng dulo. Ahoy ka lang. Ahoy ma'am.
Okay.
Para ito. Pag ilangat natin yan ma'am. Kasama na yung sa ilalim.
Dikit na dikit yung wala.
Dyan. Kaya ilawag mo gusto ko naman.
Ayan.
Panagalit yan, ilangat na natin yan. Okay?
Walang mga ano. Walang mga balingin.
Huwag mo lang ma'am, kasi ito may meron tayo ito.
Ay, sorry. Sorry, kuya. Ay, ito mas close ito kaysa dito. Ganun mo.
Itulak mo paligid. Yan.
Ayun.
Ito parang dito pa, sabi maligid po. Okay. So this is the whole entire roof now, and finishing the paint on the pergola, and then that's down there, the swimming pool and the hot tub, and that area where the shower, and then yeah, and then that one is for the storage for the pool. That one.